a little bit about the pancreas and this marvelous factory which is producing insulin. And you might be thinking, no, insulin is bad. I've heard so much about insulin. No, I don't want insulin. You do want insulin. You really do want insulin. Talk to anyone who's diabetic, like diabetes type 1. They want the insulin because insulin is so important for our bodies. It tells our body to grow. It tells to store energy and to utilize energy, and helps our blood vessels to expand. It's such a good hormone to have. We need it. If we would not be having insulin, we would be in trouble. But having too much insulin, having too high levels of insulin, and having cells which no longer really can receive and listen and hear the message which insulin is sending them, that is not good for us, because that can really create many super vicious circles. And I was interested in where actually is insulin made. What's the factory like? Which other products are there? Other products which this factory is producing? You might have listened to the episodes on the pituitary gland and on the follicle stimulating hormone, and if not, go to those episodes because you might find really insightful and interesting things in there. A mini wrap up. The pituitary gland is a tiny pea-sized gland in the back of our brain, and it produces many hormones, follicle stimulating hormone, luteal hormone, and many others. And the pituitary gland is the master gland in our entire system. So it sits on top physically, and it sits on top, metaphorically. It's really governing all the other glands. The pancreas is one of the other glands, and in that pituitary gland video, I said, if the follicle stimulating hormone production suddenly jumps through the roof for many other reasons, what effect does that have on the production of the other things which are produced or which should be produced by the pituitary gland? Will the pituitary gland, this tiny little manufacturing powerhouse, will it still be able to produce all the other things it should be producing in the same quantity and in the same quality? Question mark. And now taking that picture to our pancreas. In us women, as we transition through perimenopause and beyond, we will, sorry ladies, it's a fact, we will develop a degree of insulin insensitivity. And some will develop insulin resistance, and some will develop diabetes type 2. But it all starts with insulin insensitivity, and that's just a natural thing to happen. Natural doesn't equate healthy. It will become unhealthy if we do not pay attention to it. But paying attention to it, then it's okay. Then we can keep it at bay, then we can counteract. Yet, the developed insulin insensitivity likely causes our general insulin levels to rise. And that means that our factory, our pancreas, needs to produce more insulin. So the more insulin insensitive we become, the more insulin will be produced by our bodies. It might not be as effective and as efficient as it was before, but it's there and it's more present than ever before. That means that our pancreas is producing more insulin. That means that that factory is putting more focus, is putting more energy, is being more determined with producing more insulin. And same with the pituitary gland. If that is producing tons, masses more follicle stimulating hormone, can it continue producing all the other things as good and as much as it should be? Question mark. Same with the pancreas. If suddenly our insulin rises, like demand is going berserk, maybe not just as berserk as with the follicle stimulating hormone, but let's say even if it goes up 50%, that's a lot. That's a lot for any production site. Let it even be 20%. Even if levels of insulin rise by 20%, which effect could that have on all the other products made, manufactured, mastered by the pancreas. And now let's look at some of these. Not all of them, because there's a lot, but I've selected some of those. And you can look into all the other ones and also these ones into more specific detail on your own. But here's a brief overview of all the other things which the pancreas is making, and how that, again, I spoke about vicious circles and cycles, how that can have an effect on our entire system and our health, and especially on things which many women are experiencing and are troubled with, are suffering from during perimenopause and beyond. Now let's look at those. Many of the products made in the pancreas are products which inhibit insulin. That says that if they notice that there's high levels of insulin, that they kind of counteract it naturally, because the body knows too much insulin isn't a good thing. So there's another vicious cycle right here. High levels of insulin means lots of production of insulin, means less production, potentially, of those hormones, of those products, which are actually lowering insulin. So another cause why more insulin in our system causes more insulin to be in our system and causes our cells to just get numb about that. So one of those things is ghrelin. You might have heard about ghrelin in another episode. Ghrelin is like the growling. It's the hunger hormone. It's telling us, I'm hungry, I need food. And that can be an effect why, if there's too high insulin, yet the cells do not get the message, we get crazy cravings for sugars and unrefined carbohydrates, for that pot and plate of pasta or that pizza, because we need that sugar rush right now, because that will help us to get the feeling of that we're satiated, that the ghrelin now is at bay, and also that cortisol finally can say, oh, now I can relax. Now I can relax. Thank you, sugar. Now I can relax. But sugar spikes cause sugar drops, and sugar drops, again, another vicious circle, which causes us to eat more of the stuff which we shouldn't be eating so much and so frequently. So one thing which is affected are all those other hormones which actually tell us or tell insulin to, hey, take a break. Take a break. Good, you're here. Lovely, you're here. You can rest. You can take a break. So those hormones are not as much anymore and might not be as effective anymore. What else is there? There are some enzymes created in the pancreas which help with the digestion, especially in the intestine. And they help to really break down and absorb the food and all the nutrients, and to make sure that the lining of the intestine is really, it's very fluid and mobile, but it's super dense. It's super, it's like a very tight knit. Yes, it's a very tight, flexible knit. But if that knit is a little bit too wide, that means that we cannot absorb the nutrients and the vitamins and the minerals as good, because they cannot really progress as good. They need to be tiny in order to pass through our intestine into the bloodstream. But if the knit is a bit too loose, A, we cannot absorb the nutrients as well, and B, other stuff, toxins, stuff which should not be in our bloodstream, can enter the bloodstream. So, and those enzymes, they're not only produced in the pancreas, they're also, of course, produced in the intestine itself, but some of them are produced in the pancreas. And there's also enzymes produced in the pancreas which tell our intestine to move, so that all the food which we're eating, which is passing through our bowels, and it's a long way to pass through there, that it's continued to move, that it's not just stuck in one place and just getting crumbly and brittle and tough and difficult to digest, but that it's a smooth flow through our intestine and then later on through the colon. So it's a smooth transition, literally, and not just a bumpy, brittle, spiky road. That's not just really unhealthy, and on top of that also painful if you're just having a rock coming out of the other end. And many women during perimenopause are experiencing digestive issues. So I'm not saying that insulin insensitivity is the cause number one. So that's likely not the case. But it could be one of the many factors causing our troubles with digestion, causing our troubles with constipation, causing our troubles with bloating, causing our difficulty to absorb the nutrients. So maybe we have a super healthy diet, maybe even healthier than ever before, and yet our body cannot absorb the nutrients as well, causing us to have deficiency, let's say, in magnesium or some vitamins. And that's not something which we want to have. I mean, of course, we can always supplement, but the best source of those vitamins and those minerals and generally of the macronutrients is actual food, is not the supplement itself. And so having a healthy digestive tract, having a tract which is moving and keeping it soft and smooth is so important, not just because it's easier when you go to the loo, it's also important to facilitate the body to be able to absorb the nutrients. If it's blocky and cracky and just like a rock, your body will not really absorb the nutrients. It will just pass through. And that's just, yeah, that's that, exactly that. It's not good. So having this heightened production in our pancreas of insulin can have an effect on our digestion, among many other things too, but it also can have an effect on our digestion. And that might be something interesting to also consider, because many are just experimenting with, oh, I need more fiber, I need more this, I need to supplement, I need to, whatever it's you're thinking which you need, and maybe you do, but high levels of insulin are really, to surpass them, to have a good, healthy, moving, soft, easy digestion will make it very difficult. So also for that, it's really relevant to pay attention to your insulin levels and to allow your body to relax from the insulin. Again, saying we love the insulin is really wanted, but it's also really wanted that it can take a break. Just imagine if you would have to work 24 hours or even 12 hours at a time and just do your best. Would you like that? You'd also want a break. And our entire system, just as with waking, sleeping, eating food, digesting food, letting go of the food, getting energy, utilizing energy, being active, taking a rest, yin yang, just as everything is in a balance and in a constant rotation, building up the bone, breaking down the bone, breathing. It's a constant rotation. And just with that, insulin too, glucose too, they love to take a break. They just love it. It's so good for our body. It's not saying, oh, bad insulin, you're so bad and I'm going to put you up and lock you out. And I'm going to lock you out and put you in a cupboard and never talk to you again. No, we love the insulin, and we love the insulin to have a break. It's so relevant. Our blood vessels love it. Our brain love it. Our organs love it. Our heart loves it. And our digestion might love it too. So if you've tried many things to improve your digestion and somehow they haven't helped, maybe paying attention to insulin can also be an illuminator. In another episode, I will be speaking about other things, what you can do, which might be beneficial for your digestion, like a mini teaser. I did lots of voice training with Kristen Linklater on the gorgeous, wonderful, marvelous Orkney Islands, far up in Scotland, almost closer to Norway. And while being at her trainings, while being up on my feet, moving my body, and especially having a new way of breathing, because that was needed for a new way of speaking, I noticed that the troubles which I often had, I mean, since my early childhood, with digestion, evaporated. So breathing can have, I mean, not just regular breathing, like we all breathing regularly and still we're having constipation or diarrhea or other digestive issues. So just breathing is not the cause or the solution, but breathing more focused, how it should be naturally, can have an effect on very good digestion. But that I will look at more into detail in another episode. If you found this one interesting, how insulin and how this pancreas, how this magic, marvelous factory could be impaired by heightened production of insulin and all the results it might be having on your body. If you found this interesting, please share in the comments, share with your friends, share with your loved ones, and I'm looking forward to see you next time.